Hi, it's Joy, and today I'm going to be watching Midnight Mass, Season 1, Episode 4, Book 4, Lamentations. This week I have well and truly got my emotional support baby Yoda with me because we have an angel demon vampire creature on our hand, and it is freaky. Thank you so much, Albert, for sponsoring this show. I am so interested in the story that Mike Flanagan is telling. He's a fantastic storyteller, and I am just really excited to see where it goes next. A little nervous, can't lie, but excited. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon 1 week in advance, and let's go.
But otherwise, you know.
I'm so worried about this.
Right out of the box.
She's always got a concerned face when she monitors this baby.
Maybe there's nothing here.
Jesus Christ, what?
I don't understand. There's nothing in your uterus.
What the fuck?
I don't.
There was a baby.
You must have miscarried, didn't?
Jesus Christ, what happened? What did that thing do?
I'm gonna put you in touch.
It's so dark in here.
He's a creature of the night now. Is he becoming a vampire? That thing himself?
Oh, sorry. Just hurts my eyes.
Like, that's why he got bitten and then he became young again, because he's becoming a vampire demon angel.
The night?
Starving.
Oh,
I've never been this hungry before.
he needs blood.
Makes sense. I imagine you'll be ready by tomorrow if you eat up. But you.
He may eat his congregation.
I feel everything
Is
that
he-
is happening here is a matter of faith.
Aware something is very wrong.
It's like I can feel God
Sure, it's God. Sure.
move inside me.
Yes, definitely God moving inside you.
To be left alone for the rest of the day.
But she wants to be part of the miracle. And if she leaves you alone, she can't get credit to be part of it anymore.
One of the parables, and it was important enough that Matthew, Mark, and Luke all wrote it down.
In the pieces that we chose to put in.
That's okay.
She just wants part of the glory.
Slowly, after the resurrection, was restored by an angel of God.
I definitely believe this, yes.
It will be
Is he
in God's time.
starting to doubt that it was a miracle?
There's no other kind, is there?
The devil's time, if you're this faithful, how could you be certain that wasn't the devil? Vampire! He's a vampire! Or what inspired vampires. So as a person of faith, burning in the sun would surely make you think of the devil, rather than anything else.
He encouraged me to talk about a few things with you.
Mm-hmm.
So here goes, I guess.
This is going to be a very important
I guess
talk.
I've harbored some resentment for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He
And I
knows.
talked it up. I shouldn't have.
This is a very
But then a
difficult
whole rest
conversation.
happened. And man, I resented that. Not just the embarrassment of it all or the stigma of it all,
I should hope that that wasn't the most important thing, no.
but the money we had to spend
Oh,
on
okay.
legal fees.
Really glad we're having this talk.
Let me finish.
So, that is so telling of how so many people with Christian beliefs, and potentially other religions, but growing up in a country that refers to itself as Christian, I know most about Christian beliefs, the sense that he was not upset that his son had caused an innocent girl's death, taken her life. His three primary concerns were being embarrassed, the stigma of other people knowing his son got drunk. I mean, that's kind of the same thing, but still, it's what he said, the embarrassment, the stigma, and the financial impact. He did not mention dealing with the concept of your child taking someone else's life. Now, yes, I've talked a lot about accountability for Riley and how much can you blame him, can you forgive him, but he didn't even raise the fact that it, like, to him, it affected him, the concept that his son had killed someone. But he's a good Christian, he goes to church every Sunday. But he cared about embarrassment to himself and financial impact to himself, which is not very Christian. This is actually I think this is a really important conversation that I'm potentially going to be really happy with. But at this point, I'm seriously sat here like, you what now? Like, you didn't even mention the God. I mean, maybe he didn't want to bring it up in front of Riley, but he's bringing up a lot of other stuff in front of Riley, and I think it would help Riley if people in his life started to sort of say, and you know, it was hard for me to deal with the fact that you'd killed someone, and then he could be like, well, yeah, it was hard for me to deal with that too, and he could help him.
Not unless one of their parents has failed them something awful, and your mother's a saint, so I guess that just leaves me.
Okay, so it's all about himself,
So I
really.
apologize, son, for whatever I did.
Do you know how awful it is when a parent says that to you? Like, oh, I clearly raised you wrong, that's why that happened. Because then you're like, okay, so I'm so flawed that you now have guilt that I suck. And okay, yeah, like, I have extremely minor instances of that, but, like, that is a hard thing to hear because, I don't know, this is a weird conversation. I think it's a necessary one, it's a believable one.
I love you. I really do.
That is an important thing to say.
You should head back.
You're gonna give
It's too
Riley
late.
the chance to speak to you? Because that was a lot to dump on him. Which, I mean, I think it was a necessary conversation to have, don't get me wrong, but...
Do you like a cup of tea? I'm going to mix it.
How do you cope with this? Because she's almost completely normal. Oh, fucking hell. It's burning up in the sun too? Is she infected somehow? Jesus Christ. Why did that happen to Aaron's blood? Is he poisoning them all with mass? Is that what caused it? Is it that, like, they all drunk the thing when he filled it up from his flask, and so now they all have vampire blood in them, and now they're all going to turn out to be vampires? I don't want everyone to become a vampire. Or Riley won't be a vampire because he didn't drink it. I'm so scared and sad for her.
She saved me.
I know.
Now she's just gone.
Praise God, right? God's so kind. He wanted another angel for his garden, or whatever people say.
I have this.
Help me to understand.
There is no understanding. I am like Jesus. Oh Lord. I'm so scared about what it's going to do to all of them that have been drinking this blood, including, obviously, Erin lost her baby, and everyone's becoming healed, but is this going to happen to them as well? Though if that was the case, maybe they need to drink more of the blood, because, you know, Sarah's mother hasn't completely de-aged.
Sheriff, how are you today? I'm
He
okay.
wants to help
Stays
you.
young, though.
It is really interesting kind of thinking about this thing that, you know, if a rational person, a non-religious person, found the weird monster creature thing, you'd be like, oh my god, it's a monster, ah, and try and run away, and admittedly it would probably kill you, but, like, you know, you wouldn't be like, I'm going to bring it home to my small island full of people. Let me feed its blood to my congregation. I mean, I don't know he fed the blood to the congregation, but it would make sense as to why various ailments are being fixed. It doesn't make sense as to why Erin would lose her baby. It would make sense if, like, it fixed whatever was, if there was something wrong with the baby, if it fixed that, but it's so interesting to kind of look at this thing that is so clearly not good through the eyes of someone who claims to be faithful, or who feels faith. And it really does show how faith can blind you to obvious facts in front of you in a lot of ways.
Sarah let me, and she said that you.
Is he really Sarah's father? Is that why she paused when she asked for her father's name?
With God, all things are possible.
You were literally being burnt by the sunlight this morning. How can you think that is a good miracle from God? Oh my god, was that why she said she saw her father out the window?
You don't believe it? Any of it?
I understand it.
It makes the pain easier.
Feel of it, the comfort of it. I guess I just lived a moment at complete odds.
Yeah.
The existence of a loving God.
I haven't even lived a moment like that. I mean, admittedly, like, I've seen grandparents with dementia, and my mum had cancer, and the Holocaust happened, and tsunamis hit, and there are droughts, and there are famines, and there are earthquakes, and there are forest fires, and children get cancer, and it's like, yeah, as I maintain, and again, if you believe, I respect your belief, I will fight for you to believe it, I'll try and make a safe space for you to have your beliefs, but I'm allowed mine too. God is either non-existent, a sadistic bastard, or absolutely powerless. And in all of those cases, I don't entirely know why you need a religion for him.
Maybe my brain releases a flood of DMT. It's a
Yeah.
psychedelic drug released when we dream, so
People who've had
I dream.
near-death experiences think they're in heaven.
I dream bigger than I have
There is a rational
ever dreamed
explanation.
before, because it's all of it. There is nothing left of me.
Yeah.
Pain.
What's left is the impression you made on other people, and you can only hope that impression was loving and warm and helped them through things, and then they pass on that love you gave them to somebody else, and each of us has love from generations before in us. But we no longer
That
exist.
ever killed someone.
Oh, Riley. He does need to talk about this.
Everything is.
I am really impressed still with this show that it's covering this kind of topic and showing the atheist point of view in an American show. I mean, it's Netflix, not like TV, but Netflix TV.
Lift it up. Because God didn't send her to suffer through a life on earth, no. This one. This special little soul. God just sent her down here to sleep.
I can so understand how when you're in pain like she is, and when you've lost something like she has, this is more comforting. This makes you feel like there's a purpose. But what kind of loving God would put a woman through this, have somebody fall in love with that baby and have dreams of the life they're going to have, then snatch it away? And the same God that thought her baby could have a dream and not suffer, to another baby, has that baby be born with, get cancer and suffer as a tiny little baby with cancer its entire life. It has cancer. And maybe it makes it to a few years old and then it dies. That baby, God thought, oh, fuck that soul, it can suffer. That's why I can understand, especially now that she is in her grief, that I do believe when you grieve, it either pulls you closer to your religion or it pulls you out of your religion. You know, when you face these big moments, you either see the truth, in my opinion, and you can say I'm wrong, in the same way that I think most people who are not religious find religion when they are struggling. They don't find religion when they are doing just fine and everything's great, because religion is a comfort. And I wish I believed. I've said that many a time. I wish I could believe in everything Erin is saying right now. I just don't. And I can't believe there is a loving God who would force women to miscarry or have stillbirths and experience all the hopes and their dreams that they were going to have this little baby inside of them and then it just dies. And I also can't believe that a loving God would force other children to have cancer. But this scene is so beautiful. You don't believe this though, do you?
She's perfect.
You need to survive the pain that you're experiencing.
On her best day on earth, and you aren't alone.
It would be nice. How nice would it be? But it's a dream.
That is God.
So
That is heaven.
God took your baby from you.
That's why we endure all that we.
If it got too much, but you're busy.
No,
Yes.
no. Here, you come in here. You sit.
He might eat you though. Please don't eat him. He's trying.
I can tell you a rumor when I was a kid that the old man wasn't exactly celibate. I mean,
Sarah's
who can blame
daughter.
him? I mean,
I'm glad that you found strength today.
And run before he eats you.
thank you.
No. Do not hug him. He's going to eat you. And I don't know whether he's going to just turn you into one of him or if he's going to physically eat you and kill you.
God bless you. What is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Stop it!
Oh my God. This is horrible. Imagine seeing that in your last moments. Our Father, who art in heaven, thank you for this meal. I wanted you to eat Evil Beverly. Oh my God.
I'm not gonna do communion or anything.
Good.
I know.
You're doing the right thing, letting him go, as hard as it is.
Look, I don't know why. I don't know why.
Hush. No, you don't have to say a thing, not you. Not to me.
Jesus Christ. Faith blinds you into thinking you're a good person, and faith blinds you altogether.
Okay. Lord. Okay. You're
Do you-
gonna stay here. You are.
Do you still believe
You're gonna
he's
stay right
miracle of God? That's so shady!
Put it in your
Holy
trunk.
shit.
It's one of the empty houses on the
It.
West Bank. Do it now.
This
while
vile
your
woman.
spirit island is at church.
What the hell did you do?
He murdered a
who
man.
acts presumptuously by not obeying the priest who stands to minister there before
Fucking
you,
hell.
your God, that man shall die.
Okay, well, how many... I don't know the Bible. I wish I did at this point, because I could point out all the things that I'm pretty sure are in there about the devil will come to you wearing a face of someone that looks good. The devil moves in mysterious ways. You've got to be on the watch for the devil because he'll tempt you into things. This seems like the devil's work to me, religious woman.
I don't know. Something came over me. I don't.
Because something moved through you. You
The
forget.
devil!
You forget. Our Lord is
I mean,
a
obviously
warrior,
it's not
and
the
so are
devil.
his angels.
Bible quote about devil hiding among us.
I found this on the web.
I'll try and find something to counter what she's saying. Sorry. But I'm afraid that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your minds may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. Oh, this one fits her. Then Peter said, Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept for yourself some of the money you received for the land? Any algorithm is going to think I suddenly found God or Satan. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Yet people have the appearance of godliness. Some clearly stand with Satan. Many who claim to be believers are caught up in the devil's schemes. That's what Paul said. And, okay, I'm not going to continue to look up Bible quotes because A, it's really boring, and B, you get my point. I just think it's so funny because people like Beverly are such a prime example of so many false religious people who they have a quote for everything, but it doesn't make any of it true.
Down in that wheelchair.
What a vile woman.
Do you have guilt in your heart for doing what you had to?
Not at all.
That isn't a warning sign, is it?
I'll pass you by.
This is so clearly a sign of how faith blinds you and how evil can hide behind words of supposed goodness, faith or not.
Information you've given me might not be entirely.
Does it say she was never pregnant?
I'll put you in touch with my...
How can she keep her faith at this stage? Oh no, it's not time.
We must trust in the Lord.
Fuck you. I could not do AA meetings with a zealot.
Give yourself over whether you understand it or not.
That's right. It's just true, isn't it? For you, for me.
Yeah,
Our soul's
totally.
over. Maybe for a moment. Stuff.
Erin left an abusive husband, but she's willing to worship a god that treats her the same way.
Please don't tell me he fell off. I don't know why. I just really wanted this to work for him. Like, I
know, because you're a
really
good
did.
man, my love.
I
Despite
actually
everything.
He's off island today, visiting his sister, I think.
Oh.
His sister?
Yeah, that's right.
Monsieur Pruitt doesn't know.
The wisdom
Something is up.
of
Be
the
safe,
best.
please.
That man's a saint.
Huh.
I'm glad he's on. Can't imagine how that went over with his dad. The courage it had to take to leave that behind and come to church alone. At his age.
Prejudiced little woman.
All that tradition.
What? What kind of upbringing have you given your sons? I know that's the point. Your non-believing son, you literally forced to go to church every day, and every day you're like, come and have the sacrament, come and have the sacrament. But you, like, it just... Bigoted religious people, fuck them all.
Something's happening here.
Yeah,
And I
but
can't
rationally
explain it.
speaking, it is not a good thing. There is
Oh, I know.
a lot of other stuff happening you don't know about.
Please be careful.
Yeah.
That's all I ask.
This is becoming a cult. He loves her so much, despite her pushy prejudices.
I'm out of the sacrament.
No, what are you doing to these people? They're all going to become monsters like you. It's so funny because if you showed a Christian that out of context of his life, They would be like, oh, that's the devil. This really shows you the blindness of faith. Oh no, Riley, what are you doing? 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 Oh fuck, run! 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 No! I know, why do we watch this show? Well, that was another fantastic episode. It was bloody brutal. I will get to the end of the end. I talked about it a bit in the middle of the reaction. I assume I left it in the edit. But I do appreciate the way this show is tackling the subject of religion, of different religions, of atheism, and every single point of view has a good person expressing it, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you have your crazy bigoted Christians. You even have moments where the sheriff is kind of, I mean, I don't think he's done anything that wrong, but he's not handled everything with his son perfectly. I think especially when he was like, your mum had cancer, was a bit much. But like, they are showing the good side of every single religion, and they're showing how similar people are. We are all the same regardless of our opinions, and just because you are a Christian who goes to church every day doesn't mean you're a good person, Beverly. And it really, for me, I wonder how many strongly believing Christians enjoy this show, because, and like, am I watching this through the lenses of my atheism, seeing it differently to the way a Christian would? It's so interesting to think about. But, you know, what you're really seeing here is Monsieur Puritan knows something isn't right here. He knows murdering isn't right. He knows the fact that he can't touch the light, or that the creature looks like a devil, or all of that stuff. He knows it isn't right. But he still prays to God as though it is right. When Beverly says, oh yes, God is good, he's like, oh, God is good. You know, maybe if he wasn't surrounded by religious people all the time, he might have accepted the truth. But I think, again, he's lying to himself. If he can say, oh no, it's all okay, this is God's work, then he's not a terrible, awful person who has brought untold horrors onto his own people. Beverly, the fact that someone as awful as her, you know, she killed a dog. She is vindictive and cruel to people. Everyone on this island knew what Erin's mother was like, and yet, you know, they're like, oh, it's so good that she's taking her mother's place, and she sits in the same pew on Sunday, you know, as though that's a good thing, as though emulating her mother is a good thing, because, oh, her mother was a good Christian, so it was all okay. Vile, vile, prejudiced. And, you know, even Riley's mother, I would argue, is a seemingly very good person. She seems very kind. Yet oh, that boy is so brave. She even called him the son's little friend. Like, does she refer to all of his friends as his little friends now that he's like however old he is? But saying how brave he'd be growing up with that way, with those traditions. Oh, you're literally grooming your own children into Christianity. That is how religion works. That is how religion has survived. If you look, I mean, I don't have the figures. If you have them, prove me wrong, I'm sure. But I'm sure if you look at the number of figures of people who go from being raised in non-religious households to becoming super religious, to people raised in super religious households to becoming non-religious, one of those is going to be higher than the other. The people that find religion tend to be people who are struggling, who are vulnerable, in the same way that cults can find them, religion finds them. And, you know, at the end of the day, if it brings them some peace and if it makes them feel better and helps them through life, then good for them. I wish I could believe. But yeah, I think this show is really showing the hypocrisy of a lot of religious people. It is showing that insidious nature, that sense of, oh, he's a priest, therefore what he does is good. So if he was like a paedophile priest, would that make it okay to Beverly? Because, oh, well, God clearly moved in him, and God, you know, we know God doesn't ask for consent because he didn't ask Mary for consent. That is ever since I was younger, and I kind of learned, I suppose when I got old enough to kind of vaguely understand how baby was made and everything, that always seemed to be a bit like, what? It's just, I think it's handling the topic really well. Now, maybe there would be religious people who would be like, oh, it's so insulting, but that if any of them have that attitude, it is literally just because their own hypocrisies have been thrown in their face. And I also like the way Riley is able to express his atheism. He's not at home. That is not a safe place for him to be an atheist, but he's able to, well, he was able to express it to Erin and even to the priest when the priest was not quite as insane as he is now. But he does it in a way that is so respectful. And you know, what do you say? Like when Erin kind of said to him, also, what do you think, I'm delusional? I mean, kind of yes. Like, I mean, it's not as simple as that, because obviously you can understand why you would want to believe that. And also, she's raised in the faith. If you're raised in the faith, you tend to stick to it. Especially when things get hard, you can take some comfort from it. How much easier is the grief process going to be? I mean, okay, it wasn't just a simple miscarriage. I don't even know what's going to happen with her. But hypothetically, if it was a simple miscarriage, how much easier would the process of grief be if you believe in this magical fantasy where she's surrounded by all the good, lovely people you've lost and they love her, and she's grown up despite having never lived, and she is perfect and happy and happily waiting for you to one day die and be with her, and then everyone can be happy and loved. If I could truly believe that. But it's something I know my mum has said to me before, and we never really discussed religion all that much until I was older and firmly atheist. But it is the fact that Christian religious people who believe in heaven grieve so much when someone they love dies shows that deep down there is that part of them that thinks it might not be real. I don't think it's real. Because if I truly believed my nan and granddad were up in heaven, young again, together, all the pain they went through, everything my nan went through after my granddad died, if I could believe that they were together right now up there, oh my god, that would be a weight off my shoulders. I would be crying from happiness at the idea of it. I would not have grieved in the way I have grieved for them. I wish I believed that. And I can see why Erin would stick to it. So I really appreciate how they're having the conversation, and that this is a show made by Americans in which the main character, or one of the main characters, is able to be atheist and express those views, and in which religion is being held up to being a hypocrisy in a lot of ways. Because like I say a lot, part of why I'm finding this so refreshing, although it is on Netflix, I don't know that like a cable news, is that what we call it, network TV show, could do this. A show that is literally about some characters that go to a book club. Every single one of them will be like, oh, my pastor said on Sunday when I was at church, and you're like, what? Why? This isn't a show about religion. You don't need to be like in this show. If the characters were ambiguous about their religion, you would be like, huh? That's the whole point? But no. So then Erin, and she has been taking the sacrament. It is full of weird evil demon blood. And it's as though her baby never was. That is so fast. Now, is that she had a miscarriage, but that it healed her afterwards? The sacrament, like, sped up the body's recovery process from it? It's so. I was kind of hoping that, if anything, it would, that she was going to go for an appointment and the doctor would be like, whoa, your baby is so healthy, I didn't want to tell you, but I was seeing warning signs. But this baby is beyond healthy. Or it would be like an accelerated growth. I mean, no, she just never gave birth. How awful is that? So not only be told you've miscarried, and I believe it, that it's such a traumatic event that you would almost tell yourself it didn't happen. But then to be told you never ever were pregnant. Right now, I can't even imagine what she's been going through at all. I don't know how her faith will stay the same with it. But also, you know, she and Riley formed I mean, they've always had a connection, but they were forming something sweet and true and good that could have helped her pull through this awful time. They both are broken, they've both been through stuff that has severely messed them up, but they can pull through together, and it could have been really beautiful for them. Again, at this point, I will get into Riley, but I don't know whether he is dead or whether it's going to be, you're my next disciple, yay! It could go either way, but the fact that he's not religious might mean that he's dead, and we'll get into him in a minute. But for Erin, if she's lost him, I mean, either way, I believe she has lost the Riley she knows. If he left to go to her house and then he was never seen again, she's going to feel even more isolated and alone than she has. She maybe could have trusted the doctor, but did the doctor lie to her? Was she fooling her with ultrasounds? Although I'm sure she had tests before she came back to the island. I can't even imagine what she's going through, and going through it alone, living in the house where her abusive mother lived. I just want to give her a huge hug, invite her to sleep on my sofa, help her out with everything. So, I don't want to miss anything before I get to Riley and Monsieur Pruitt, and yeah, religion. This show is really highlighting a lot of the problems with religion, isn't it? Then, okay, so why does the blood magically heal Monsieur Pruitt and make him young again, but Sarah's mother is still old, she just no longer dementia-ridden? Is it because she didn't get as much blood or it was diluted with wine. Because I imagine the sacrament isn't straight blood, because they'd all be like, this tastes different. Maybe because it's diluted or she's not had enough of it yet. But it's just so messed up. It's also messed up to think that he is feeding his congregation, who trust him, an unknown substance that could do God knows what to them. And the fact that what I would really find interesting was an alternate universe of this show where Beverly did not exist, or where she accidentally ate the poison hot dog herself, where there was no one there to cheerlead the like, God is good and this is a miracle, oh dear you killed a man, this is a miracle, la 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 la, let's burn the body, bury the body in the sea, this is a miracle. Without her, what would Monsieur Pruitt be thinking right now? Would the awful pangs he's been having, the fact that sunlight burns him, like, witches were burned for less. Like, I almost could believe that she's an agent of the devil. Let's be honest, I'm not religious, so I don't think she is. I think she's just a wicked person, but she's an angel of the devil. And there's so much a part of me that I don't even think it is entirely like that she believes. I think she wants a part of this miracle. She wants to be the right-hand woman of God's miraculous man. I think without her, he might be struggling a little bit more. But also, I can only imagine that this is beginning to alter his mind a little bit, because it's making him have, like, the cravings or whatever. It's turning him off actual food. Is he going to start looking like a weird scaly monster, or was that just time? And yeah, for Riley's sake, I truly do believe he's either going to be dead, or he will be similarly to Monsieur Pruitt. He will be losing himself step by step, and that is not a good thing either. So this episode beginning with Riley's dad. Now, the conversation they had, I think in a lot of ways, it is important to be open and honest, especially about dark feelings like that. I think the conversation would have been more productive and healthy if his dad had given Riley the opportunity to respond. And, you know, maybe if whatever just happened didn't happen, Riley might have said, look, can you do that conversation we had? Can we carry on with it, please? Like, I've had some time with it. I've not just been ambushed. Because, you know, I believe that Riley tried to explain what he was doing, and I believe that his dad, because he felt resentful that his son didn't want to follow in his footsteps, his son had left the island, his son was too good for the island, was like, oh, I don't understand tech, and shut it down, which is what his dad was admitting to, so I'm not like, shame on the dad or anything, like, I get that. I still can't get over the fact that when his dad listed the things he was upset about or resentful about, he didn't mention that Riley took a life. He mentioned that it was awkward and embarrassing for the dad and that it cost the dad money. That is literally all he mentioned. He didn't say how, and I have to grapple with the fact that my son took somebody else's life. It was all about him and his own personal effect. And that is an interesting mindset for anybody who wants to be a good person to have, let alone a Christian. And there wasn't even a moment where he stumbled over his words, where he went to say, and you, like, say something to say, and it was hard for me that my son had taken a life. And then he kind of pulled back because it was awkward and he didn't know how to broach that with Riley. He just blew right past it. Just a bit embarrassing for me and my family, actually, mate. It hurt my pocket. So that conversation was hard for Riley to hear. I know, like, it's so awful and hard when a parent says something to you like, oh, you know, almost a parent's like, oh, yeah, I'm not angry at you anymore that you aren't a good person with X, but it's because I raised you badly. I messed up. Because then you're just left feeling even more shitty because you're like, right, so I'm so bad of, I mean, Riley, I guess, knows what he did, but I'm so bad of a person. Like, and then, yeah, it's a messed up thing to say, but at least this was the beginning of a healthy dialogue that could have gone somewhere. Because I think parents in that kind of small town community need to understand that a lot of their children are going to want something else. They're going to want to see more of the world. Time is changing, the world is changing, and Crockett Island is a little backwater that some people will be perfectly suited to and others won't be. They could have really formed a real connection there. Now, I've spoken a bit about how Riley's mother is clearly bigoted and prejudiced. I feared she might be. That kind of, oh, my son killed someone and I go to the church every day to pray for him. Oh, now you're home, you're going to church. And then every single time, it seems, being like, come up for the communion, come up to have ash on your forehead. And Riley's like, yeah, I'm not into this anymore, but I'm here to be respectful to you. And she's like, come up now, son. I mean, okay, that's a little exaggerating. But her comments about the sheriff were very, very disrespectful and very ironic, given that if her son were to say, oh, I'd like to go with Ali to the mosque on Friday, she would not be letting him go. I can tell you that right now. I don't know, again, anything like that, but she would not be letting him go. But the conversation they had where she finally did admit, like, she said the words of what you did, but then she was like, God has a plan and God is good, and now, you know, it's why I said it's so funny, because like I always say, if I don't believe in God, and one of the many reasons is because I think having to believe on faith, it's like part of a toxic relationship. But if miracles started happening, I would have to believe, okay, maybe God is real. Like I said, it wouldn't necessarily change my opinion on him being a bastard, or, you know, but for me it would have to be if every single person in need got a miracle on the same day, and then God was like, I am here, my children. I might be like, maybe he's here and he's finally decided to give a shit. Or he's got back from his holiday and he forgot he didn't pause the game before he left the room. I don't know. But her saying to him, oh no, you know, in this case, God isn't asking you to believe on faith, he's giving you the proof, is something that's kind of true, though it goes against her own religion. But I've thought the fact that, you know, Riley saying to her, Father Paul lied to me tonight, please be careful. And that, I think the sincerity of the way he said that, he was respectful, again, you know, I can't even imagine what it would be like to live with someone that was that religious, drive me up the wall. I would try to be respectful, but I think often there's a problem because, like, something I sort of struggle with is I would never ever ever call someone delusional or say you're wrong when they're religious. But religious people can kind of say that to non-religious people, and that is offensive to me, but anyway, I thought the way he handled that was very, very good. Now, if I have a feeling he's dead because it's too much of a risk to let him live. Now, unless the angel vampire demon thing knows that anyone he turns immediately becomes a disciple, but then I feel like he killed maybe he didn't kill the guy that got dragged into the house. Maybe he made him a disciple too. And that's another aspect of why no one's reported him missing, is because he's not missing. I don't know. For Riley's sake, I think the Riley we know is gone. Regardless. Maybe I'll be proved wrong if he is alive and a disciple thing, but that was just awful. And the fact that he was going to confront him. And I think part of why he was going to confront him was because this man my mother believes in so much isn't who he says he is, and he wanted to try and do the right thing, and yeah, that did not go well, so that was awful. This was a fantastic show, as always. Thank you so much, Albert, for sponsoring, and thank you for watching.